Deku vs. Asta is out, and I'll be honest, it wasn't as hyped as the other episodes this season. Even less hyped than episodes like Boba vs. John Yaucha and James vs. John, which were more hyped than this. Surprisingly, you'd figure an anime matchup would be a lot more hyped. But hey, episodes that aren't that hyped can still be good. I'm really freaking over my words today. So how was this episode? Let's talk about that. Also, Lucariboi is making his own video, so don't forget to check that out in the description. And while you're there, follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well, because Twitter hasn't died yet. Alright, to get the easy part out of the way, the analysis. It exists. Nothing of substance here, really. Just a basic rundown of their powers and feats. It doesn't really make me want to check out either My Hero or Black Clover. And I've already checked out My Hero. The jokes were also pretty meh. I liked the cutaway gag in Asta's analysis, but it wasn't a laugh out loud moment. It was just sort of a, that's pretty funny moment. Overall, it's just boring. Boring. Ugh, good lord, I am stumbling over my words today. It was just boring. Boring. Once again, there's just no versus stuff in the analysis, but I guess it's part of their new format, where they just do the rundown of the characters, feats, and abilities, and relegate all the calcs to the post-analysis. Not sure if I like that format, but whatever. Anyway, the animation! Alright, the animation has barely even started yet, and I already have to bitch. Deku's sprites look awful. His skin is way too pink, his head is a weird shape, his hair is slightly slicked to one side, and good lord is he lanky. Seriously, it looks like he's about to snap in half in some shots. Bro looks like he doesn't have any muscle definition at all, which shouldn't be the case considering his quirk is one that requires him to have muscles, otherwise he'll blow off his body parts. Sorry, that sounded wrong. Asta, on the other hand, well, his sprites look great. Nothing much to say about them. They look great. I will admit, though, the beginning part is pretty good. The two run at each other, which looks pretty janky, I'll admit, but Deku rocketing off into the atmosphere has a great sense of speed. And then we get the luck line from Asta. More on this later, because I have a lot to say about this. Deku using his speed to try and overwhelm Asta as Asta counters and sends him flying away is super cool. And it leads to a really well-animated shot of Deku recovering from a fall. Like, seriously, the rigging here is godlike. I also like the way Deku uses his quirks in this episode. He uses One for All to try and overwhelm Asta with speed, Smokescreen to blind Asta so he can make a quick getaway, Danger Sense, it's pretty obvious what he uses this for, Gear Shift to send a building towards Asta, Fa Jin to rocket towards Asta at blinding speeds, and Black Whip to ensnare Asta to do
a lot of damage!
Cushion the impact of his fist so he doesn't break his own arm, and he grabs Asta's grimoire using his mouth with Black Whip Froppy style. That's a really cool way of showing Deku's intelligence when it comes to fighting, and what I would expect from him. Asta, on the other hand, I can't really comment on since I know basically nothing about him or his verse, but he does some pretty cool stuff too. He uses his own prediction sense to catch Deku off guard. He becomes Zoro for a bit and creates a tornado with his 3 swords. He cuts through Black Whip, and then he goes into what I can only assume to be Black Asta. Correct me if I'm wrong, Black Clover fans. And he gets to kill Deku, of course. And while I'm talking about the characters, I should probably bring up the voice acting, shouldn't I? Deku is voiced by Jose Estrada. I am very sorry if I mispronounced that. And he does a good job with the character. His muttering at the beginning of the fight is a cute little character moment, and it perfectly shows off how much of a nerd Deku is. But it's brought down by the deliveries of the smashes during the Black Whip moment, and especially the Plus Ultra shout. Don't get me wrong, I like the little callbacks to All Might vs. Might guy, especially in the track, more on that later, But when Deku screams plus ultra at the top of his lungs, it sounds a lot like a prepubescent child screaming instead of an 18-year-old screaming. And I know that's Deku's voice, but I can't help but not like it. And it isn't helped by the lanky as hell sprite. Seriously, I could beat this guy in an arm wrestling contest any day. Dude is lankier than me. Asta's VA also does a good job. Michael Kovac, very sorry if I mispronounced that name as well, does a great job with the character. The deliveries for some lines are just straight up funny, like the "Are you not using magic" line, which, paired up with Asta's hilarious facial expression, freaking cracks me up every time I see it. Although, apparently, to some Black Clover fans, the first line that he says, that being the "I just have to hit him really hard" line, is out of character for Asta, and if that's true, then that genuinely sucks. Good thing it's balanced out by Asta not knowing what Detroit is. Come on, that's just funny. I'm also a little sad that Asta didn't get a better finishing scream. He just sort of yelled. It really sounded like he was going easy on Deku there, putting in like the least amount of effort into his attack. That sucks. But overall, the voice acting was good. I love it. So, right now it sounds pretty positive, right? And it is. I quite like this episode. But I do have some issues with the animation. For starters, I don't like the way Black Whip is portrayed in this episode. Now, Black Whip is a power that I'm not too very fond of. I have my reasons. I already said them in Lucariboi's reaction video. Link will be in the description. But the way it's used in the episode is fine. That's how Deku uses it in the anime, the manga, etc. But the way it looks is what I have an issue with. Here's how it's described on the My Hero Academia wiki. Black Whip grants the user the ability to produce energy tendrils from any part of their body and command them at will. These tendrils are black in coloration with a glowing teal outline. Notice anything missing from Black Whip in this episode? Namely, the teal outline. And with the sounds it makes, being very elastic and rubbery, it sounds more like Venom than Black Whip. Now, I know this is a bit of a nitpick, but you know what isn't? Deku's fighting style. Deku kicks like 3 times in the animation, and he punches about 5 times. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but last I checked, Deku switched to kicking because it was easier to use one for all with, right? So why, pray tell, is Deku punching more than he is kicking? And before anyone says anything, yes, I know Deku can still punch, but last I checked, Deku's shoot style was kick-based. They even brought it up in the analysis, so why does he punch more than he kicks? And there are a few noticeable instances of jank, mainly for Deku. Like I said before, the starting charge looks janky as hell, but so does this Deku run animation and this Deku spin animation. It looks like it came straight out of Season 7. We get to the ending of the fight, and man is it underwhelming! Deku charges at Asta with his 1,000,000% plus Ultra Smash while mirroring All Might's line from All Might vs. Might Guy. That's cute, I like that. And Asta charges at Deku using his finishing move that I do not know the name of. I am very sorry, Black Clover fans. The two clash, and Asta is sent flying downwards. Deku then holds up his hand, claiming that he's won, as Asta uses his sword to stab Deku in the back and Deku dies, whilst doing the Family Guy death pose. I'm not kidding, look at it. It is the exact same pose. Such disappointment. Especially since the last time this happened, in, once again, All Might vs. Might Guy, the loser still went out with a bang. Sure, it wasn't that big of a bang, but All Might didn't just stand there claiming victory with a weird-looking hand-drawn bit. Deku just gets stabbed in the back and by Asta's spooky, scary, floating sword and dies. Whilst doing the Peter Griffin pose. I am sorry, I cannot let that go. Man, this animation started out pretty good, but it went out with a massive whimper. At least the post-analysis is pretty good, showing off the sheer power difference and speed difference, and actually giving us some calcs. And good God, the track is phenomenal. Strongest Alive definitely feels like a successor to Mighty, just like how Deku is a successor to All Might. Wow, thematic! Hell, it even mirrors Mighty in some instances with its lyrics and its music composition, I think. Overall, track is a banger. Definitely give it a listen. Brandon and Anthony absolutely killed it with this track. But now, I have to unfortunately end this on a sour note. So, for anyone who wasn't on Twitter for the past week, where were you? Can I join you? You probably don't know, but Black Clover fans were incredibly pissed at this matchup for daring to exist or whatever. Now, I saw a lot of reasons, and a lot of were valid, but the one I saw the most commonly, was that Death Battle is always wrong. They never get anything right, all that jazz, all that stuff, typical non-versus debater bullcrap. And I know Death Battle has gotten some episodes wrong. I mean, hell, I think Randy versus Kool-Aid Man is wrong. But outside of that, like, there's also Madara versus Aizen, but like that's a different story. That's a long story. But that is by far the dumbest logic I've ever heard. I mean, sure, Death Battle has gotten episodes and results and stuff like that wrong in the past, but like that's also kind of blatantly ignoring all the stuff they've gotten right. And I actually did my own maths, and I discovered that less than 10% of the entire series, based on the episodes that the community think are wrong, are wrong. 10% of the entire show. 169 episodes. Nice. All that. 90% of it, or like over 90% of it, is accurate. The rest of it? Nothing. So, but it actually wasn't because, Death Battle's always wrong, all that stuff. It was because of the preview. With one minor line that caused way more of a flame war on Twitter than it reasonably should have. And that line is this guy could give Luck a run for his money. People went freaking ballistic when they heard this. Were Death Battle trying to insinuate that Deku could match Luck? Of course not. The fact this line caused so many issues is just baffling. God forbid Asta be challenged in a fight animation that is primarily for entertainment, of seeing what would actually happen if these two verses crossed over. Hell, I even saw someone say that if the fights were primarily for entertainment, then what's the point of the analysis? I'm not kidding. All this did was make me realize that Black Clover fans are, well, the very vocal minority of Black Clover fans are a bunch of whiny babies who complain over the most minuscule of details. Now, if you're a Black Clover fan and you weren't pissed off by this, congratulations, you are a part of the majority. But if you were, then why? Was this really cause for getting mad? I mean, sure, if Deku won, then fine, you can get mad at that. But was this one singular line that had no freaking, it had no, like, weight to it. It had no purpose to be in the animation. It was just there because, haha, funny Black Clover reference or whatever. So, why did you get so mad? Oh, jeez. Anyway, I didn't enjoy this episode. I don't do number rankings anymore, but if I had to, I'd probably give this episode a 6, maybe a 7 at best, but it's a low 7. It's definitely better than John Yacha versus Boba Fett, but As for the next time, though, the season finale is upon us, and I don't like it. Gogeta vs. Omnimon exists. Why'd you have to go with the DBX version? Now I have to review the DBX as well. Well, I didn't for Black Anna vs. Apocalypse, but this is the season finale. That's different. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss another video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, links in the description. Or don't. I can't do shit about it. But don't forget to check out Lucariboi videos and see our reaction to the episode. Anyway, bye!